Yay! Yay! We did it. Oh, my mic's. Oh, you can see it. Uh-oh.
See what?
My microphone.
Microphone?
There we go. Hello, everybody.
Speaking of Michael phone.
Scott microphone.
Scott
Hello.
Michael.
We're back. Boom, my guess. I did get a new mic. Or not a new mic, but I got a new mic stand.
Oh.
And I rearranged my desk, so now I have a lot of open area in my room, so I can go like this.
I can tell. Whoa!
We can see.
Oh.
We can see his legs.
Wow.
So something he had. Oh, I'm not gonna
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Wait, you can see my legs too.
Nice.
Oh God. Oh. You know what? Maybe I won't go too far.
Anyways, welcome back. It's good to be back. Funny Net, greetings from Internet USA, kicking off 2022.
We're back from our holiday break.
Speaking of 2022, we have a very special video greeting message from former President Bill Clinton.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Stay tuned for here it is.
Greetings from Internet USA.
Yo, let me interrupt here to do some maintenance. I pressed some wrong buttons, didn't unmute my mic, and played a sound I shouldn't have played. And John, I think, made a joke about going to the gym. That's all you missed. We're going to cut right to where we fixed it. Thanks. There it is. Sorry, guys. Must not have turned my mic back on.
Fail.
It was lit up. Sorry. What did I say? Did I say anything funny?
No.
No.
I think I said, whose gym? Is that your boyfriend?
Yeah, no, I wish.
Do you want to run that back again? Start the whole thing over?
There, no.
No.
We go workshop.
What's everybody's New Year's resolution?
Hmm.
Mine is what 40p, you know?
That's classic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we are sitting here with Scott from the legendary Ailanthus. That's what everyone. Have you noticed that you've been on a few shows recently, and everyone's like the legendary, and I mean rightfully so. I think everyone loves it. It's like one of the OGs.
It feels weird. Like I think I said it when I was on a different podcast. I was like, I'm just like a regular guy. I just feel like it's me. You know what I mean? But I mean, obviously, when it comes to Ailanthus, that's not just me. It's mostly everybody else, and me just kind of putting it all in one place. But yeah, it feels good. Yeah, I can't complain about that, right?
Yeah. It's a long time since the last 3D cast we did with you, and even longer since the first one. Which was probably
when were they?
2018?
20XX.
I don't remember. 29th? I don't know how long. I don't remember when the last time we did one was.
1964.
I think I was
Years.
like, it had to be before 2018, probably.
Yeah. Because there's a few. There's like the first one was like way early, like 2016, 17 or something. And then you were on a few more. I think you're on like Lux. I think Lux. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say one of them would have been like probably 2019, I think.
Yeah,
or 2020 maybe.
That was probably the last one, because
probably the last one. We kind of did like a weird soft reboot, and this is kind of like the third kind of soft reboot.
I love this. Like, can I just say, like, I have the Twitch stream up here on the left, and like, I just love the way it looks. This is great.
Yeah,
like,
this is mostly Disco and John's work.
This is great.
We built our own operating system, Funny OS, we like to call it. It looks a lot like Windows 95. But,
took a lot of coding, but you know, it's all there. You know.
Can we try moving the windows around?
Oh my god, don't make me do this. Okay, hold on.
Well, I mean, in the next software update,
it's not really. It's kind of user friendly, but when we're talking about Randy, you know, it's sort of like
oh,
there he figured it out.
Well, you know, we arranged all these windows so. You know, so everyone was like, right there, and a little to the left, right there. And then, so now you want me to go move everything around. I'm like,
There's like
well,
three
there's
other
an undo.
windows that don't matter.
Also, there's an undo function in OBS. I mean,
Oh, there it is. It worked. You're right. So I can't on Funny OS. Hey,
on Funny. Yes.
nice. I
Just,
can
just have Scott block me.
yeah, this is the first time you've ever done a visual gag.
I know. I'm always. I used to be like really like, can I not have the camera on, guys? I don't want to. I don't want it to be stored somewhere. Now I could care less. Yeah.
Let's go.
They're already in my house.
Through all these years.
Maybe
Well,
who cares?
The
Yeah.
kind of
We're all on Facebook. They got our information. What do we care?
I ain't worried anymore.
yeah,
It's called Meta now. Oh wait, no, that's the parent company. It's still called Facebook.
they're called Alphabet.
Lots of things have changed in the last few
They're
years.
called letters. They're called words.
We kind of a
letters.
double play on our what was our title for the episode? Help, we're still here.
Help, we're still here.
Which is kind of like hey, we're back from Christmas, and also kind of like our topic is like projects that have been around a while because Ailanthus
Yes.
Celebrates its 10-year 10-year effing anniversary.
And business casual, also
Yeah,
been
you-
around for a long
yeah.
time.
We're gonna be 9 this year.
Wow.
Oh, happy birthday.
I'm trying to figure out what to do for that. I'm still figuring that out.
Well, what do 9-year-olds usually like on birthdays? Pinatas?
Dinosaurs.
Cake? Dinosaurs. Let's do dinosaurs.
I would
Dinosaur
rec-
URL set.
An exhaustive compilation of as many of your artists you've ever had.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
thinking.
so much fun.
I'm thinking of
Honestly,
doing that for 10.
Pretend. I
I mean,
mean,
you have so much good content on there. Like, and to see like what they're all doing now, because especially I feel like business casual artists, a lot of them really leaned into creating newer styles of music as time went on.
yeah.
I think you get a really cool record out of that.
I'm going to say this. It's been a long time since I've compiled a all new compilation from like I ask an artist, send me something, and then I'll put it in a thing. It's been a while since I've done that because it is hell doing that. It's awful. It's literally the worst. Like, and I deal with artists on a weekly basis.
Wow.
But that's even worse than anything. Because like when you're working with one artist, that's cool. When you have to get all those artists to work together, it's hell. It's awful.
Like collab or just
No,
a compilation, just one track.
Yes, but you that's like making 50 or 25 little albums instead of just 4 albums in a month for one
And
week.
you like to tend to it in such a way too. Like I
Yeah.
can tell you all of last year, aside from a few things, no disrespect to anyone, but like aside from a few things, most of last year was spent listening to those comp songs.
Really?
I conceived the idea like early in the year. Took me a few months to get the gumption and ambition to actually reach out to everyone or even to figure out how to reach out to everybody. And then once I did, I had Excel spreadsheets and paper sheets of like who I got from what, who's on Facebook, who's on Instagram, who's not on either. Who do I know is on Discord that I can get to them there? Who do I only talk to on email? Who do I have to reach out to on Bandcamp or SoundCloud to even find them anymore? Who is this person anymore? Because they were called,
Yeah.
God knows what, 8 years ago, and I don't know who it actually was. So like it took so long. I think I actually like started sending out like the like you got one.
The big
It was like-
list.
Text like this long, like this is exactly what I'm doing, and I'd like you to be a part of it. And then it was a matter of like compiling it from there. It was a lot.
I was at a
But
wedding when I got mine. It was, yeah. I don't know if I messaged. I messaged you back because I think we were like eating dinner, and I like happened to look at my phone or to take a picture, and I was like, Scott, oh my god! And then I read it, and I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Because I've been kind of out of it lately. You know what I mean?
What can you do? You know?
And so I was like, what? Like I have to do this, and I wanted to see what like everybody's working on now. I think there
Yeah.
were like 2 tracks that were like older things that someone's like, I want you to have this on there.
Really? Was all of it new?
That was all brand new.
Oh, okay. I thought I thought I was the only chump that I was like, I think a few tracks I listened to were old that I saw, and I was like, am I the only chump that actually made a new song I got tricked into?
So there might have been like some songs that like I missed and that they were added on there, but like to my knowledge, I know the Michael Potter song, he would have been Electric Nature back in the day. That's how he was on Ailanthus. He pulled a song from 2011, like a demo.
Wow.
Luxury Elite song was from like 2012.
Yeah,
And
maybe the DDS one.
What's the DDS one too?
Maybe. I feel like I talked about this with someone.
I got
All I know from them is they said, we don't do compilations anymore, but for you, we will. And I hope that's not bad that it's out there. But they're like, we don't do compilations, but like, yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of the way I felt. I haven't been part of a compilation in a while, and as soon as
people put them together a lot anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I've noticed.
It used to be like the thing.
Mm-hmm. And like, that's how I got into music. Like, that's how I got into the stuff that I fell in love with when I was younger, was buying these like $4 comps at FYE or whatever. Because I had like $4 to go to the mall with, and I'd get like 30 punk songs out of it. And so I like always carried that on, and I think especially when we were all in groups,
yeah,
it was a matter of like everybody contribute.
The vape console.
I think the idea of like a playlist sort of killed the idea of comps, because it's so
Make
much
your own
easier
comp.
Make your own comp. And like I hate to say it. I think Vaporwave has gotten to the point where it is so varied and so like everybody's in their own little niche.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
and they don't
even
really
I sent
interact
like
with
a
each other.
dance pop track, and I was like, I don't know, is this too?
You know what's funny? I didn't know the sample.
It was an Ariana Grande song.
Yeah, I did, and I played it for my girlfriend. She goes, "Oh, Ariana Grande." I was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "This is 3D Blast," and she's like, "No, it's Ariana Grande." I'm like, "No, it's 3D Blast."
I mean, I did a lot to it. If she's just like, "Oh, that's the same song," she's wrong. Yeah. But
yeah, I'm like, no, not anymore.
Yeah,
it's a remix.
It was what was it? I'm trying. I have the song in my head, but I can't think of the line.
It was like
little less conversation and a little less conversation and that was just that. It was just that.
Like Elvis, is that it? Oh, I like this Elvis remix.
Whatchamacallit? What was I going to say? I wrote a bunch of notes down because I'm prepared now. That's the difference between this show and 3D Cast, is I actually prepare.
We've upped the
Disco's nervous.
It's an honor to be in the press.
I think you all know if you give me free reign, we're going to be here until next
for 4
Monday.
hours. Yeah, yes.
So
it does go until 9:30.
Yeah,
and then
gotta be focused.
We're gonna have to take 5 several times through.
Because that was the thing. Definitely, they've been the longest 3D Cast episodes, and then they go on for even longer after we stop recording.
I got my monster. I'll be up for a while, you know.
We talked about the sheets for a long time.
Oh God,
it was weird.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, I've also fired half my crew. Or more than half. No, just kidding.
I'm happy you're still doing this though.
Honestly.
Yeah. One thing I have seen, like in thinking of longevity or like the way things have changed.
Yeah, that's my first thing.
It's just like, it's kind of like a whole new world out here on the internet
than
it was like when we all started. Like back then, like I always remiss, like if I was like 4 years later, like I probably could have made a living off of this. You know what I mean? Like, made careers out of this. But like we're kind of before it, so we kind of set the groundwork. But now we have things like this. Like this could be a regular thing. You know, pressing physicals could be a regular thing. Like touring, like you could make.
That's part of the reason we're talking about compilations, and it's like now if I go message the people that I would have on a compilation, they're working on the next album. They're printing stuff. on tour now, and it's like it's hard to get someone to be like to commit. Probably the reason why DDS is like we're kind of done is because they're full time making the next thing.
Yeah,
and it's like
But they're
hard.
like,
It's hard to get people to commit now. At least like people I know personally.
I mean, and
oh,
the
I
thing is,
agree.
like,
There's like half of them didn't. We're like, we can't right now, or
Yeah.
I'm not music, or like, sorry, I'm on tour. Like there was a lot of like, that was probably 50% of who I reached out to.
people's standards change. You know, people's standards for their own work changes,
Mhm.
and you know, you're no longer at some point. You know, you're no longer really trying to take every. You can pick and choose your avenues. You can pick and choose what you want to do instead of just doing everything to get ahead. But now that like if you've been around a while and like some of these names that are on, like I'm looking at this now, like some of these names, some of them I haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
But otherwise, are like names that are people who are doing stuff, you know, today still, and like
You talking about the comp?
yeah,
I noticed.
So like the whole thing about that is some of them are old people with new names.
I noticed the Fancy Deluxe. I don't even know what alias he used under that, but
He
maybe
did
Sunset
91.
Network. Yeah, I would say like, God, I haven't even. He moved. I think he tried to move, and so I haven't talked to Fancy Deluxe in like a while, like actually physically. After I moved and he's busy or whatever, and it's been a while. And I did notice that, and I was like, a Sunset Network track, hell yeah! It was
And there was also like there was some that I saw like a lineage of like, hey, you were on the comp from 2012. And you were on the comp before Ailanthus in 2011, which is like the bonus
Mhm.
when you download it. Like there's people still on it today, and I love that.
Yeah.
You know, but I love that there's so many like new people too.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, so much has changed. So many people have joined. Like, I don't even know if people like understand the impact that like all that early stuff has and like the groundwork laid. Like, you look at that list of artists and you're like, that's everybody who like you're influenced by. You know, like
It's really interesting coming from someone. This is obviously past my time, like 2011 and stuff. And it's really intriguing reading all the lists of artists that are still around today that have released on the record label like way back when in 2012, 2014. Luxury Elite, DDS. Oh, Lynn's having Virtual
2814.
Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
We did that to raise some money for his estate earlier this year, so that was kind of fun. I actually went into a dead mall to record some ambience for that. I had a lot of fun making that track, but that was a weird hit this year for sure.
Yeah, there's some. Okay, let's see here. What do I got here? Is there any like noticeable attitude change on the way people approach, or like, I'm not even sure what that means, but like, I feel like earlier maybe people are more excited to work with strangers than they are now, and maybe that's what. Yeah.
I think, like you said, like people are a lot more discerning now because there is like a medium for this. It's normal for your favorite band's new record, like your favorite national band record, to you know, buy it on Bandcamp or listen to the new track on SoundCloud. That's kind of like standard now. Whereas back then, that was a free place you could upload stuff.
Yeah.
That wasn't a media link.
That was like the, oh, you're on Bank. That was like the, oh, we discovered this little thing to host our album kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I uploaded my first album to Bandcamp in 2010.
Yeah.
And it was like this novel new thing that was like offered real-time streaming in lieu of, like, during that era, it was really big to just like post a mega upload link or post a Mediafire link. And you just trusted the ambiguous LSD ridden example of what that music was. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there'd just be this obnoxious description of the music, and you'd be like, "Yeah, I like that. I like trees and dolphins. I'm gonna check on that." And you downloaded the whole album, but here you could actually listen to it. I can't remember the first time I actually got something off of Bandcamp.
Oh, I
You know,
wonder.
I look
Yeah.
at my Bandcamp and I remember one of like the earliest albums that I actually downloaded from Bandcamp was oh God, I now got I Teenage Elders, I think it was called or something. Really like sort of like fuck, now I gotta find this. But like I was looking up at my Bandcamp, and my first upload was April of 2010. I didn't
Nice.
realize it was on there for so long.
You beat me, man.
I think mine was probably
You
some.
beat me on that. That's good. What is it? I want to hear it.
Oh,
Is it still there?
it's
Oh.
no, of course not. It's
Okay.
trash.
Let's see. I'm gonna go down and scroll through mine.
It's interesting how music discovery has, with like nobody really uses MediaFire or Mega uploads anymore to distribute or promote music. It now I mean, obviously in the last 10 years there's been the rise of social media and an increase in like oh, check out my new album, posting on social media, and it's become more of like a necessity to get your music out there now. Because I, for one, can't really speak. I was in diapers back then, so to me, hearing that you guys used to put this stuff, hearing that Bandcamp was new back then, and hearing that you guys put your stuff on like file hosting websites is really interesting. I know of one record label called Full Width that is trying to bring back that old kind of style, just like having their record label site on just like a
Site.
NeoCities, like a GeoCities looking site, and having all of their download links. All the albums are for free. All of them is hosted on MediaFire, which is really interesting.
Well, there were some, like, I know Los Angeles used to host on their own site before Bandcamp. Even though it was, like, in 2015 or 14 they started, they had their own site for, like, a year before they switched back to Bandcamp.
Because people were still using websites back then.
Yeah.
I meant like block spots and downloading albums from people's stuff.
Xbox was where it was.
Block spots. What Well, I was on DeviantArt, so I found a lot of music through artists who were like also doing like album covers and stuff like that back in the day. And I like going back to other people. Like I was part of a YouTube poop scene, and so the one label I was like really into, the guy who ran it was like a coder, so he made his own website that even had like up until like I think like the last year of it running, it was all on-site stuff, and then later he implemented Bandcamp API into it, and that was cool. But man, it's weird going back and just seeing the places that are now gone that you used to spend so many hours on the internet just hanging out.
I found my Bandcamp collection, and the first thing I've bought was a guy named Lil Tommy J, his album Dada Dada, just some random guy, some musician I knew off YouTube. And then the next one, my next like 3 purchases are Bay 1 by Young Bay, and then the Saint Pepsi discography.
Excellent.
And then it looks like I went to the Telepath Cat Corp split.
Oh.
And then it's literally just like Macross, Young Bay, Artsy AM Collective.
Oh my
Mitro,
god, that was
a Thoughts
thing.
album, Pursuing Paradise.
This all makes sense.
Yeah, that's
This makes a lot of sense.
yeah. Those are. I didn't really realize how connected Bandcamp, my like Bandcamp, like in like I think I used it in 2013 to host my very first like thing, whatever I was making. But I didn't realize that it's like almost 1-to-1 tied to discovering Vaporwave stuff.
I have
Yeah, I'm looking through all
like
this.
700 plus things in my life. Okay.
Hold up. The businesscasual.biz, that's hosted on Tumblr, correct?
Yeah, it's still I really have to change that. I think it's like Tumblr. I still use Tumblr to host most of my websites just because it's free.
The FunnyNet website's
Easy.
hosted on it.
It's free, easy, and I know how to kind of work with it with code. I have no idea how to migrate something like that over elsewhere.
Well, I don't see any problems with it if you don't.
I don't either, but the problem is I don't know how long Tumblr's going to be around
Hmm.
to with that sort of level of uh, editing. You know, they've been trying to kill off the user page for years with the sort of like pane that pops out from the side. I don't know how long they're gonna keep that for. So at some point, it's they gotta kill it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
Well, that
much
means
about
like
Tumblr.
destroying a lot of like sites like yours then.
For good.
Yeah, it does.
And that is something they are willing. That is something Yahoo is willing to do.
Yahoo
I
hasn't
think a
owned
year
Tumblr
ago.
in years.
Yeah,
Yahoo sold it to
dude.
Verizon. Verizon sold it to some sort of other holding.
Huh?
I like calling it Yahoo.
I haven't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yahoo!
Yahoo.
Yahoo!
Oh my god.
What was I going to say? I haven't used Tumblr since 2017. Ever since they did
Got rid of
that, you know,
porn.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and a lot of people were driven off, including myself.
Yeah,
And I
never
found
looked
that-
back.
I don't watch porn. No,
I had a panic like a year ago where I was like, "What happens when they get rid of Blogspot?" And the like blog that led into Ailanthus is gone
Yeah.
because that's the history book of like what led into me even doing this.
there may be a way to either archive it to be downloaded and or added to if it's not already added to the Internet Archive.
the Wayback
So
Machine.
somebody, I can't even remember who, but like walked me through like put it on Internet Archive. So I started that process, and then I realized like multiple people have already done it.
Well, there you go.
The whole website's archived on there.
Just sit back and relax.
I don't have to do that now because there's so much random stuff. I'll still look through that and be like, "Oh my god, I forgot all about that." Like that was so good in 2009 or whatever. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that was pure like Blogspot, Mediafire era of stuff. And that's when I like met like the first people that I realized that you could have a viable creative collaborative over the internet. It's like I come from a hometown where everybody would like get together and do stuff, and everybody was putting
What's
out
that
each
like?
other's music. What's that like?
What's that like?
It's-
Getting together and doing stuff?
It's like this with beer and weed, I guess. I mean,
what
that's
the hell?
like no, but really, like it is cool coming from like a local scene.
Yeah.
That's where my origins are. You guys know my story. Like I started throwing shows in like 04. So I come from an extremely creative town, Johnstown,
I think-
Pennsylvania. So
Just like a side note, I noticed there's a few people in this scene that come from real life DIY stuff, and they're not just like internet first and foremost. And I feel like the way they handle themselves is like different, or
Yeah.
like there's a more of like a wonder, like, oh wow, this is cool. Whereas I think some of us who have always just been online and like the ins and out, like we just take it for granted.
It feels like discovering a whole different side of someone
Yeah.
because it can be It can be so different. Like Lux was into Lux being into the punk scene, which I didn't know, which is really cool.
She's a real punk.
That I
The
just
crack?
kind of want to like explore what things were like back then because this is before my time. So I know you threw shows IRL like in 04, but like what were Vaporwave shows like back then around 2011? I know there was SPF 420 around 2012, like hosted on Tiny Chat.
Oh, yeah, God.
So there were like two that I can think of that were primary back in 2012. There was SPF 420 and there was HD Ghettos.
Wow.
I haven't heard of the latter.
HD Ghettos was ran out of the Dior Nights and Dior Days Facebook groups. So that was artists back then. They would have been the artists Daytime Television and Teams and Team Jordan. And like where a lot of the C-punk scene came out of. And where like Witch House went. Because Witch House was a little before that, but then like infiltrated that scene a little bit. But I played in HD Ghettos in 2012. It was largely like you could still differentiate like the differences between the approaches back then. So it was like a very like in my brain back then it was very electronic. This is very digital. And then I went on and like live streamed myself just messing around with radios and record players and stuff and like just doing the stuff that I do live. But like it was in many ways the same as a live show is now. The
Mhm.
only difference is that now there's a lot more attention paid, I've noticed, to visuals and representing the visual artists and making sure to shout out
Yeah.
them and give them artist names. And there's a artist presence of the visual artist. Whereas back then there was just this ambiguous visuals going. But you'd have weird stuff like this. Like I remember SPF 420, like even back in 2012, looked like how this stream looks. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is 2006. This is so fun. But like, um, I did Neon Nights with Utopia District last year. It was
Yeah.
I think it was last December. Um, and I was remarked by the fact that like it was the same vibe. There's a chat running up the side. There's some weirdo stuff playing on the screen, and you're hearing new music from the artists you like. The only difference I saw then was like this is going on for 2 days straight, and they
Yeah.
have commercials that are made up, and there's a lot more into it.
The
Yeah.
commercials. I'm of the mind that I'm like, who would want to watch commercials? Even if it's from somebody in the scene, I'm like, it's still a commercial.
They did a cool thing where, like, on one hand, like, you know how like business casual, how you'll do those Instagram things where it's like coming out this
Mm.
week, and you'll like play like 30 seconds of that new thing, which I like that a lot.
Oh yeah,
They
I was
had
inspired by
that, but then the rest would be like McDonald's commercial 1992 mixed with each other, and it was really nice.
That's awesome. I love McDonald's.
Gotta get that.
Shouts out
D,
McDonald's.
You know, Nick D, you know.
I miss the snack
I
wraps
can
and the
say,
chicken
like,
selects.
So I come from a town that when I book shows from like '04 to like '012 or '012 from like 2004 to, like,
50-55.
2012. And back in '04, you could imagine like the internet wasn't anything
Oh
yet.
yeah.
Like you
Not
had dial-up.
YouTube, I don't even think had really
It
started.
was until 2005.
Yeah.
watching G.I. Joe videos.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
god. I was on top of that. When I got to sorry to side story tangent. When I got to high school, the seniors in high school when I was a freshman in 2009 were like obsessed with those, and I was like, I saw those like 6 years ago. Like, how are you guys so late on this? Like, they were like just like, oh my god, and I was like, I watched those on their website, like not on
Right.
YouTube. Yeah.
Well, interesting side note about the G.I. Joe videos. I don't know how it connects, but for anyone who doesn't know, like I'm a big like Tim Heidecker
Yeah.
fan. Like I'm big on
Let's
that.
go.
Well, he has Doug Lucenhop who works with him. He does his like podcast with him every week, and
Yeah.
he like produced Awesome Show and stuff like that. I read somewhere, I don't know where, so I'm not going to quote it too hard, but he was actually part of the group that made.
Really? That's insane.
I was like, what a connection to stuff. Like,
Yeah.
of course, sensibility. Of course, I found that back then, and then when they got into more professional work, like it stood out to where I'm listening to it. Like just yesterday, I'm watching a podcast with that guy on it.
That's insane. I've noticed that a few times where there have been like really prominent people that I'm a fan of, and then I find out that like they're the guy that made that YTM&D from over a decade ago, and I'm like, that's you. Like just the username. I finally like go like, oh my god. Like it's crazy how much I've seen them. I knew their work in like 2007, and then now I'm still watching them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's that way with the music. You know what I mean? Like to really bring it back to the idea of the comp that John brought up earlier. Like there's these artists that like either I knew in real life or I became friends with online from years ago, and it still tracks.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like the thing that I loved the most about this comp was So I always go in so many different directions.
That's
We're
fine.
talking here about like that different vibe of a DIY scene and when it enters the internet space. So there's a few like people from my hometown on this comp,
Yeah.
and I put out records for them. Anti-Corn League, C. Scott and the Belltones, Aucklet Trio. Yeah, he's not from my hometown, but I went to school with him. Like of the Astrohound, Jonathan Rager, the one and only Matt Miller. Those guys are all like from my home scene, and I feel like you can tell when they step on stage on this comp. Like you're like, there's something about them, and if you listen to those all together, like you can tell there's like some DNA between all of them that connects them. And you'll also if you look at the old comps, they're all on that too. You know what I mean? Like, or in a different form, but they're in that too, because that's the scene I come from. And some of them translated to the internet, other ones never did, or went to I don't want to say higher, but at an adjacent level where like it wouldn't make sense for them to put out a record with me, you know?
Yeah.
Like we have some people that are like releasing like records on Anti-Flag's record. In my record label, like I feel like in my opinion, like that's so much like
That's an upper echelon, you know.
yeah, like I bought those records in the mall when I was a teenager, like and you're putting records out on them now. I can't back that up. You know, I don't have the capital that they do to do what they can do with you. They can put you on tour.
I think as a someone who also runs a label, you got to know when, like, where you are in the food chain. You know, I wouldn't go out and ask OPN, hey, you want to put out your next album, Business Casual?
And that's why you'll never make it, John. No.
What if he said yes, though?
Bro,
I
if
experienced
he
that.
said yes,
To be fair, you know, in Carter 95, Sterling, he is a major player in the thought of just ask. And he is like, he's the reason I'm connected with so many people. Back when I started, I was like, there's no way Dan Mason would want to talk to me. There's no way, you know, Business Casual would ever have me on. But he was just like,
the same thing with the fucking God, I guess his name, computer guy. We had him on.
Oh, this is not compute. Yeah.
Like when we're all just like, oh, he's not gonna want to. He's out of our league. He's not gonna want to interact with us.
Well, that was you guy. I knew he wanted to.
Well, we knew this does not compute. He was a fan. He's been in our stream.
Fan, you know, but like, I didn't think it was actually gonna be like, oh.
Yeah, and I feel like if we didn't have the connection, Scott, I feel like I'd probably think the same thing about that now. Like,
really,
just be like, oh, he's just like you know, why would he want to do something like?
And I'm like the reverse. I feel like you're like, I can't believe he's releasing stuff with me. And on the same side, Business Casual, how many times have I reached out to you? Hey man, I'm working on a record. You think you might want to check it out and put it out? And you're like, yeah, dude, send it over. And then I never respond. It's because I finished that record and I'm like, this is not Business Casual quality. I can't put this out with them.
This must have been a while ago.
Well, actually, it happened in happenstance. It happened so magically, it had to happen this way. But so, like, the last time I did that was when I put out a Trademark Century record last year. And it came out when Luxury Elite started back up her preview channel imprint. She put out an internet club. She put out me, and she put out somebody else that the name is escaping me. VVVX or something like that. But
a classic internet artist.
Sorry if the person's watching. I really dug the album, but I can't remember the name.
Nintendo DS game.
But like I reached out to you months before and I was like, hey, I'm working on something. I've been working on it all year. I want to send it your way. I think it like would be good. And you're like, yeah, send it over. I'd love to check it out. Like you were real chill about it. And then I kept working on it. And I'm like, I can't send this to him. Like, he puts out such good stuff.
Hey.
But then like I premiered it on Neon Nights, and in the chat, Lux was like, I want to open preview channel up and release this. And he had to go with it at that point. I'm like, yeah,
I mean, why not? You know?
yeah, right. Like this is happening in real time. Like
That's-
everybody's here and we're watching it happen. And it wasn't like I was premiering the record on that show. Like it was a whole different mix. It was different tracks. Some made it, some didn't. But like I had the record on the side that I was working on, and it made like magical sense. To put it out.
That's kind of how it happened for me to release on Ailanthus, because I think I had you on just because, just because, and then I think you were just like, oh, I listened to this, and I was gonna release an album, but I was having issues with the label I was gonna go on, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know Ailanthus was an option here. So then I sent it, and of course we released.
Yeah, I was so grateful. Like I have a cassette copy of that record.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to see it on vinyl one day. To be honest,
Ooh.
I've pitched it to people. Like, hey, do you think I could talk to him about this? That's a phenomenal record. Like that's, and it's one of the, like, I think of things in terms of like high and lo-fi, and it's such a hi-fi record, and we don't put out a lot of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so clean. It's more like business casual, which is so clean, so tight.
I think I just have an obsession with like just putting my face print, just be like, I just want to be, if you went to this, something I consider like a monument, my name's also right there. Like that's like, I think I have a thing about like,
it's stained.
I like making my stain, because I felt the same. Okay, here we go, breaking the rule. First episode of 2022, I had the same rule with Electronicon, that I was like, I don't care, I'll be the fucking janitor, I just want my name on history, baby.
Yeah.
And it happened.
Yeah.
It just, yeah.
Both
Watch that after party set.
both long-standing legendary labels like Ailanthus and BizKaz, just going through the discography, springboarded so many artist careers. It's crazy.
Yeah. Who would win in a fight?
Well, here's what I ask. I am Ailanthus, Business Casual. Who are the other like long-running, still around, still pretty, consistently still putting stuff out, even today? Because I've been going since 2013? Or you've been going since 2011? And like a lot of the labels that came out in the early days either completely switched focus and went to something else, or they just shut down.
I'm curious, yeah.
But I'm having a hard time thinking of like, because I remember there's like a 37 memory or something, memory recording.
Oh my gosh, I can't even remember who the primary band or what. I want to say his name on Facebook was Ricardo Stacy. Maybe I'm misappropriating.
Yeah, Ricardo sounds fine.
I think he ran Memory 36. He released, I think it was called Reality Television on Ailanthus. Hold on,
I think the admin in the chat says Adhesive Sounds.
Adhesive? Are they still around? Adhesive?
Sounds. Yeah, that's been around for a while.
I remember seeing on Rate You Music a list of like all the labels, Bandcamp bookmarks, top labels,
Crash Cymbals. Which Crash Cymbals gets way more into that like indie pop realm of like people that are playing live instruments type of stuff, but like Crash Cymbals has been around for a while.
You've got DMT tapes, been around since 2014.
They'll say DMT. Yeah, DMT is a little newer though than I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, but 2014 is still. Well, I guess that is.
Yeah.
Because looking at the top, like the list right here on the 140 plus record labels that to get you started into the genre.
Where is this?
How long?
I'll put it in the
Yeah.
But this is on Rate Your Music 100.
Okay.
Made by Vito of DMT.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So of course, it's going to be a comprehensive list. We got, of course, number 1, DMT tapes. 2, VCR record, like VCR.
That's another DMT.
Yeah. And then you got Business Casual.
There you go.
And then number 4, It's Ailanthus. So there you go.
Wow, everybody, right up front.
How long's Dream Catalog been around?
2014,
Yeah.
early 2014.
I feel like there's a point
Oh.
where Dream Catalog like changed lanes.
Oh,
I don't
a
even know.
1,000 times. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah,
I know when they pulled my record off and pulled other people's records off. Let's put it this way: I knew why. They were getting so big,
Yeah,
and there was such flagrant vaporwave on there
Yeah.
that if they were going to get bigger, they had to pull that stuff.
yeah. It was a
Really?
necessary.
After that, because I wasn't really interested in hearing somebody's. I just wasn't interested in the direction of it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I really liked those first year or two. Some of those records are some of the best records.
There's legit history and like again the whole groundwork there, and they just were like, oh, see ya. And
Yeah,
you're like,
and
I think in what 2016, 2017 when that happened, I don't think they knew. I don't think anybody really knew the impact that they had at the time. Like I remember that winter, whenever that happened, the vaporwave is dead and hard vapor thing shit going on. That in my head, I was thinking, "Oh, this is the end of vaporwave, isn't it? This is seriously." I'm first of all, I'm
still living and breathing.
yeah.
no. That's like they were like the 100% electronica of that era,
Yeah.
where they were just the label, and I think at that point, to me at least, because it was just at this time that I actually quit my day job at like a cafe, or like I was graduating from school and like I couldn't really work there for too much longer, so I just kind of quit there. But at that point, I was like, I just quit, and I'm like, oh shit, now Vaporwave's gonna die. Perfect timing, Josh.
Perfect.
You know, you're about to graduate and you got all this debt to pay back. And now, oh man, fuck this.
These cassettes are worthless. Who would have thought that this cassette would be worthless?
Hey, I've got some pretty expensive tapes now.
What's funny, I just bought a cassette that isn't Vaporwave. Like, I just got Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak on a cassette.
That's not on vinyl yet?
It is. I just bought it on cassette because I thought it was fun.
People like that are putting out cassette, I think, says everything about what we've been doing.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the same thing. I'm just like, yeah.
Come on.
Now, continue on this list. I'm looking at.
I'm always searching for a car with a tape player in it. Who's buying tapes? Come on. No one's really listening to that.
And now Adele with her vinyl fucking. I didn't even know Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak did a cassette.
Anderson, or what's that guy's name? He had that little soul band record. That was cool.
His band, right?
Anderson's band?
Yeah, what's it called again?
I don't know.
Cool stuff. It felt like 1974. It was really cool.
It's so cool that like the vaporwave scene helped lay a lot of the groundwork, like the retro formats that a lot of people now kind of are exposed to. And now it's starting to, retro formats like vinyl and tapes are just growing bigger and bigger.
And I think that goes back to the original like topic we started to talk about. Like that's the impact that this had.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that I can go into Walmart and see some shirt with very clearly vaporwave art on it.
Yeah, you were talking about this a while ago about going to a college campus and seeing kids who you're like, what the heck?
Like, this is. Have you listened to the new record we put out? Like, you know what this is about for real? Like,
I remember having a party at a New Year's party years ago, and people were like, "Oh, you're like, recommend me blank Banshee," and I was like, "How do you know?" And like, I've had people to me be like, "You're into weird stuff. Have you ever listened to George Clanton?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, I've texted him on a phone. Like it's just, it's so
amazed?
It's so weird.
Were they awed that they were in the presence. Oh, okay.
No, that's the worst thing about being a sort of like micro internet celebrity is nobody actually fucking cares.
Well, I'm just
about it.
you just could go at work, and it's just like
Well, exactly.
nobody cares. It's like I can brag about who I know online, but I'm still your coworker who
Yeah,
does fucking
exactly.
that doesn't mean anything.
No one cares.
Quattro Pagine says, "Oh, go on."
Oh no, you go.
Quattro Pagine says, "I think it makes sense that Silk Sonic was released on cassette and vinyl, considering its throwback theme."
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that like a lot of people love being thrown back. Know what I'm saying? Like
Throw that back out.
People love the 90s. People love the 80s. We did it first, baby.
Here's a point that I don't know if I've ever brought this up on the mic, but like I say it all the time in person, and I like notice it. What is this? Adobe Flash Player. It expired in 2019. Remind me later.
Just now getting that.
Yeah.
How long have I been reminding you later? You know.
Yeah, right. It's like, hey, you still there? But like, here's what I notice about Vaporwave and everything adjacent to it. When you play it around someone, it's not like, hey. So when my friend introduced me to Silk Sonic, he's like, check this out. I think you'll like it. I'm like, that's a good track. That's good. I like that. Good song. When you play a Vaporwave or any adjacent style of music for someone, they always say, makes me feel like, and then they say whatever
something.
They say.
Yeah.
Like it always creates this experience for somebody. I feel like I'm in hell. I feel like I'm in a
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a disco in 1981. Like
The part of that thought for me is instead of going because you play something weird, and instead of saying like, "Ooh, I like that," they go, "I'm not trying to say I don't like this. So I'm gonna say something like, oh, I feel." Like that's kind of I feel like I'm in a dream, you know. And I read between the lines. It's like I didn't like this.
I don't like that. That's not real music. What do you? I
remember showing people early like Telepath, and they're like, "What is this? Is like haunted music? Like this is like a ghost or something." And literally, they know it was.
But I always notice that they always say it elicits an emotion. It elicits a feeling, or it elicits nostalgia. It elicits something.
Right. Anemoia. Nostalgia for a time you did not live in.
Ooh, that's fun. See, I like that concept because I'm working on something now, like the new album or whatever, and the concept is, you know, when you live in like a small town, but you say you're from the city.
Yeah,
it's like that, and specifically for me, Detroit, where you're like, oh, I'm a DJ from Detroit. Sounds way better than saying you're a DJ from Dearborn. Even though I never go to Detroit, I don't do anything in Detroit. Like,
yeah, it's cooler to associate yourself with the nearest city.
Yeah,
I like to say,
when I'm anywhere in Pennsylvania, I say I'm from Johnstown. I'm not. I'm from New Germany.
Exactly.
New Germany. You
I don't know any of them.
New Germany. Oh my God, there you might get a couple of weird eyes. Ooh.
Oh, what do you mean by that? What is this?
New Germany?
Like, or as they call it, Neo Germany.
Yo, I love the Matrix.
But when I would play out, I would have to say to people, I'm from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I am so far removed from Pittsburgh and Pittsburgh culture that
Pittsburgh culture. LOL.
Well, yeah, you lived in Pittsburgh. You're from Pittsburgh, right?
I'm not. I live in Pittsburgh. I've been okay. Technically, I'm in Ingram, but it's literally. Technically, I'm one bus stop away from being in Pittsburgh. So
if you're in Allegheny, Westmoreland counties,
I'm in Allegheny. I just say Pittsburgh, you know.
But wouldn't you agree? Like, I am not a Pittsburgh artist.
And like, if you like take part in that world, I would understand. Like I know a lot of DJs who they don't live in Detroit, but they play in Detroit nonstop. They know all the spots, but I still tag myself.
But I've played in Pittsburgh 3 times.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, and it's more like I'm one of the touring bands, even though I can say, "Oh, I'm from Johnstown." but I'm not from. You know what I mean?
Well, that's that thing. It's like it's nostalgia. Like I want to credit myself with this, but I don't take part in it. It's same. Very to me, that was a very vaporwave concept where it's like, oh, my music brings back memories of the '80s, but I didn't even live. I wasn't even around.
Oh yeah.
Removing
Yeah.
yourself to a time and a place. You know, you
Mhm.
don't live in Detroit,
I-
but you say you are.
Yeah, I
John,
wouldn't
you
set
said
foot in
you're
Detroit.
John,
No.
you said you're from Ingram.
Are you from England?
Yeah, I was top of the
Ingram.
morning.
Yeah. You don't
Or,
say.
Top of the morning.
You know, like Mamma Mia.
Yeah, where's your Ingram? What's your address?
What's your
Yeah.
IP?
Hey, go buy a tape and you'll find out.
I like to say I'm from DC, but
Yeah,
I'm in the DC area. I live in Maryland.
it's true.
Yeah,
We're all
Maryland.
we're
The
all
entirety
fakers.
of Maryland is the DC area. Because no one wants to say they're from
All those
Maryland.
states are so small. Like there's literally like that conglomerate there that like you can just drive like an hour and be in a different state. I think it's so weird to be like, I live in the DC area and like my friend lives in Virginia.
We call it the DMV.
The DMV. I've heard DMV. Oh yeah, DMV.
Yeah, and we have to use a different. We have to use a different acronym for like the Department of Motor Services. We use Maryland uses MVA, Maryland Vehicle Association. So it's kind of confusing where it's like, oh, I'm in the DMV. Oh, why would you want to go there?
DMV. What about to go to if people have been around long enough? Do you think there's something that you know that nobody knows now that got lost, like a secret from the past? And just goes for John too, but not disco.
I'm so new. This is like a history lesson for me. This is so cool.
Something that nobody knows.
Maybe nobody remembers.
A time that history forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the losers.
Let me really think about this.
It's
How we ask the hard hitting questions.
yeah.
Well, okay. If anything, I know I wasn't really around in 2011, or most of 2012. It wasn't until the end of 2012 that I really started getting into the vaporwave scene. But
you were creating in some way or some form.
I I didn't put out my first vaporwave release until March of 2013.
But what did those early records sound like?
Say again?
What did those early records sound like?
They sounded like the stuff I was making back in 2010 or 2011. You know,
What I'm thinking, and that was a point earlier, is like we can call it all vaporwave now, and it's almost like the way you'll say that's a punk band, but there's like 40 different presentations of that.
for me
And
at
you
least,
just
I
give
was.
oh, it's vaporwave. That's not vaporwave at all. You know, like a lot of people, especially from like people from my town who reposted and were on this comp, said like, "Oh, we're on this vaporwave comp." But like, what is there? Maybe 10 vaporwave songs. Like, if we're being purists about it, like
Yeah.
10, 15 vaporwave songs on that whole 40-some song album thing. You know what I mean? So now, like, it's like punk. It's like, I don't know, like you could say you're a soul band, but like how many different like things come out of that, or country, or like something that has like a wider breadth of expression within it.
Yeah. I know I'm a country guy now.
You know,
Guilty pleasure.
January 6th, yeah.
A thing that people don't know, Public Spread the News actually is the person that started Illuminated Paths. And he did it with somebody else who I can't even remember off the top of my head.
And then the
So
current guy.
Illuminated Paths was not started by Josh Rogers, Broken Machine Films, who does it now.
Wow.
So if you notice the original records that came out on that label were happening adjacent to Fortune 500.
Hmm.
They shared a lot of releases, and then they started sharing a lot of releases with Ailanthus too. Yeah, that's where that started. And then they like, there was like this idea back then of like passing off your label to somebody else who had more time. So
yeah,
there was a
I
point
guess you're
where
kind of right about that. I think I've definitely seen that
Fortune
happen a few
500
times.
got passed off to Lincoln, and Polites. And they released like 3 records and a comp. And still you can't download, or wait, or was that Sunup? Maybe that was Sunup. Sunup was passed on to Polites and Lincoln. And there's like 4 records they put out, and then it just fell off. And to this day, you can't go into Sunup Recordings and not have to pay $7 to download that because they ran out of downloads. Which is what I'm doing now. Like, I am storing up downloads on Ailanthus.
Yeah.
So that, like, I could die and that stuff's gonna be free for another decade.
Well, Ailanthus doesn't charge at all.
If I were
it's
you,
in your own price, and I only use that money to buy the downloads because it's like $75 for 5,000 downloads.
If I were you, I would definitely suggest doing the full discography download. Like, because if all of it's already free, as long as you have one album that is set to a price, so make either like a dummy album or take an album that it has like a something that no one's downloading, nobody cares about, or whatever, or maybe one of your albums or something. No, okay, that sounded bad, but like take that, make it $1, and then you can have all of them for $1 for download, add to their collection. So I make a list of any of those albums at any time on their app, on their phone.
Yeah.
And also, it's an easy way to just like that money just goes to the label, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what Vito does.
And along with that, it adds to your, balance. So once you hit a certain threshold, you get those free download credits, for free. So you don't have to actually buy them. So it might behoove you to take part of that.
And that only counts as one download.
It only counts.
Well, it doesn't take any download credits away because it's paid, Yeah,
if you look at Business Casual, you can have the entire discography for $1, or you can download them all for free. But it's a convenience feature to have it there, like 300 plus albums for $1.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of downloading each individually,
you have access to everything.
Then you have access to in the app on your phone.
That's why everything's just the album. Like, I don't do the download by song.
Yeah.
I don't want you to get track 6 off that album. If you want to listen to this, you listen to the whole thing because that's what the person put together.
Right.
And that's what I want you to hear. I don't want you to only download that song you like.
Yeah.
I want you to have to listen to an album of work because they put way more than that into it. That's a good tip. I'm gonna have to look into that.
It's good because
it's really easy, really simple to set up. I can walk you through it if you want to do it after the show.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Let's do it during the after show. Share your screen.
So first you want to give me your social security number. Oh, 6
Social security address and your mother's maiden name, and first model of your car, and who you went to prom with.
And are they still free?
Yeah, that's always the security
I remember
question.
for the longest time, it used to just be free download. You couldn't even pretend to, or you couldn't even put money in on Ailanthus.
It started to add up really quick.
Yeah, I would say.
I was throwing the $20 1,000 downloads every week, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna ever ask anybody for anything because we all know some of this stuff isn't always on the up and up, and you want to make sure you're not absolutely profiting off of whatever you're sampling stuff. So I never want to put myself in that position or anybody else, and so I did name your own price. So it's out of the goodness of your heart. But I will say that there's a lot of goodness in a lot of hearts, and it's been able to keep us free. I think there was one time, way, 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 way back, where I woke up one morning and all the downloads were $7. And I panicked and I was like, "Oh no, we can't have this! This has to be free."
Thankfully, they added a feature to batch edit, so now you can edit them all at once.
It's great feature. I love batch edit.
That caused. Sorry, Disco. Go ahead.
No, Bandcamp has just been getting better and better. I can't say anything bad about it, really.
I can say a couple bad things.
Okay, go ahead. Let's start with number 1. I got a list.
Okay. for the past 5 years.
You have so many albums on there.
No, I've so many sales because of the
Rub it in.
the whole discography thing that literally I can't pull up any stats past 2 months for anything.
Oh,
So
Really?
if I want to check what happened, 3 months ago, I'm fresh out of luck.
well, you can download. Wait, are you talking about just viewing the stats?
Viewing the stats.
Well, you can always download it to CSV, and you can also look.
Then I have to download it. I'd rather just be able to look at it within.
And John doesn't have internet.
I just want to I want to be on my phone because the thing is it always happens when I'm out. Like somebody sends me a message and they need their stats, and I have to pull up the phone. And I can only pull up so much, and I gotta hope.
Is that a DS?
It
What is
hasn't
that? Is that your
It's my
phone?
phone.
Oh, I thought it was. I like.
Yes.
Why is it a DS? My phone. I can't get my stats.
Sorry, I got it. Hello. Yeah.
I knew you'd have one sitting there too.
Oh, of course.
Everything with it.
Hey, you guys look at my new camera.
Yeah,
Hey,
he's like, my camera doesn't work. It's a Game Boy camera. I can't look at the stats on my DS web browser. Bandcamp. Why?
Netscape doesn't work on my old computer.
I could certainly go on.
I'm trying to load it up on my PSP, but it won't stream the tracks.
PSP's over there.
John's got everything in
It's
his
a
reach.
It's a museum. You gotta
PSP in here.
Oh my
launch a
God.
YouTube
I
channel,
got a
mate.
PS2.
Oh my!
Oh, you gotta have the PS2.
Gotta have it. Gotta get it.
I've got 3 PS2s right here. I don't know if you can see.
World
Great.
premiere. I don't know if this matters or not, but I was inspired in the past week. I want to rejuvenate the New Figure Variety Project this year and do very basic 2012 era slow down, reverb, delay, echo, basic stuff of video game soundtracks that I care about. Not necessarily what anybody else does, but what I care about. And that was like my new creative inspiration, is that I wanted to do that. So that's what I want to do this year. That's my New Year's resolution. Back to
There you go.
There we go.
Perfect. Wrap it all up. That's what I had a question that was what has made you guys, all of us, keep going, like to stick around? Because like we've said before, there are so many that just spent 5 years being really cool, made their mark, laid the groundwork, and just kind of fizzled out. Obviously, people move on, but what has made Ailanthus continue?
So, 2 ways. For myself and my own output, it's truly like my form of catharsis and therapy.
Okay.
It's very much like a mental health, like I need to process the past 4 months of my life. I get inspired by something, like I just told you that very skeleton, but it's not going to come out as simple as I just described, because I'm going to tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. And what I'm really doing, and what I've always done in my own work, is channel all of my emotional states, good and bad, into that project.
With John, it's
So
just
for me,
money.
very much catharsis. What's that?
Say with John, it's just money.
I have no money. But and for Ailanthus, it was really, for the longest time, I'm just still the original thing, and the original inspiration of what led me to throw shows in the first place, and it's to create an environment or an atmosphere or a stage for people to present their stuff. I'm so passionate about everybody else being able to express as well. Maybe everyone doesn't get as deep as and existential as I do. Maybe some people just hey, we have a new band, we want to play out. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. I'm a great guitarist, I'm in a band now, let's play. But I've always been passionate about people having a platform. And that's what Ailanthus was. And the only reason I hiatused Ailanthus was because my life got so busy that I couldn't give it the attention that it deserved. I could have easily, like, I still to this day get submissions from random people and people reaching out. Like, I feel like those of you who know me, like, get it. So they're like, hey, I'm not going to offer it to you because you haven't put out anything in a year. So, like, it seems like you're, like, slowing down. But I still get submissions all the time. And I'm like, it's not fair to those people if I just start treating people like somebody that's giving me a product to put out.
Right.
Like I got to be passionate about something, and it might be great, but like I got to be passionate about something, and I want to give that platform the respect it deserves. And that was why I stopped throwing shows too. Is there's two reasons. One, it became just me and my friends like all meeting up and watching whatever bands I put together. We could do that at our house. And we weren't like making the money to pay for the venues and stuff anymore. But like also like I don't want to phone it in.
Yeah.
And there are some people that I've reached out to and it's like, hey, when you have a record ready, I'll still release it. Like like it's there. But I can't keep up this like 3-4 records a month. Like it just life just really picked up on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
No, yeah, some losers, only losers would do that.
I wish I could. Like, and that's
gets
my
hard.
dream is to be able to make a life of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would love, like, that's what I originally like went to college for, was to like do something like this on a major scale, long term, career wise. And I remember, like, I moved to Tennessee, which there are Tennessee artists that I met down there when I lived there on this comp that came out this year. I went down there and studied music business. And the message from everybody was this was 2008. I went to MTSU. And the message from my professors was the music industry's dying. The internet is ruining it. There's no money in it. You better think of something new or you're going to not have a career in this. And at the time, I didn't have the foresight to be like, well, then I'll make something new. I was just like, fuck this and paying a
Take
lot of
something
money.
old and make it slow.
Yeah, exactly. So
There you
like,
go.
so like,
Most music
home,
down
but
college
then it
different
happened
artists.
organically. You know what I mean? Like it just happened naturally. And so, you know, we all get older, and as time goes on, in my heart, I'm happy with looking at a, article 10 years from now that says legendary Ailanthus Recordings. That gives me enough satisfaction.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have made a full ass career over it, but like, if I'm not giving the artist the same level of clout that I'm getting from being legendary, it's not worth it to me. Like, you guys got to get it too. Like,
See,
it's gotta be for everybody.
John, these are morals.
Hey, I can't help it, I'm just in it for the money, guys. There is no part of me that has ever actually liked Vaporwave, and that
Next week, you're gonna charge $100 for the Buy Digital
Guy-
discography because
guys,
damn, I charge
guys,
$1.
I
1%
I charge. Some labels will charge $15, $16 for a cassette tape. Some people will ask for $10 a month for a fan club. I, on the other hand, being the amazing person I am,
I always feel, back to what Scott was saying about, like, I hope that one day an artist gets big enough to come back and be like, I'd be nothing without that. Let's, I don't know, be the person to fund it, or at least maybe throw you a guest pass at the show, or like something.
Yeah, know your roots. You went.
Yeah.
You
That's
springboarded
like
so
a
many
big-
careers.
That's a big future-oriented thing for me too. Like, even just the tweet from Death Dynamic Shroud, who is obviously like a very successful band out of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
For them to say like their tweet or whatever said something like, we have a new track on this comp, this was the first label that gave us a shot.
Yeah. You know,
That's it. That's right there.
We tweeted today that we were having you on, and both James and Tech were both like, legendary. They both commented back. So there you go. Still at it.
And you guys, like, that legendary comes from you guys.
Yeah.
Like, that's where it comes from. Like, no one's saying NYKDLN Bandcamp legendary. No one's saying that. No one's posting about that. Like, it's you guys made that. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing I take like legit pride in is what I consider to be my discerning ear that notices things that are good.
I think that goes a long way. I still remember hearing about your method of putting something on your phone or whatever at the time and cycling through, and like if something didn't catch you, remove it and replace it. And if something did, you'd keep it on there, and just that's how you do it. And I remember hearing that something about my music, and I was just like, I don't know, that just blew me away. Somebody it passed a cycle of your phone, and I was like, that's all I need.
My phone right now, the music on it is like what I would call like classics or essentials. They're like essential albums to like my history. I am definitely getting old. So like I have like the important ones.
Well, same.
And it's on there. Absolutely.
That's what the songs I have downloaded are like the ones. I have a playlist called Vapor Kings, which is all those old stuff that you can't find, or this, not on Spotify. Half the people aren't around anymore, but those tracks were just so fire.
Do you have any newer people on rotation?
Me?
Like up and comer, yeah.
I'll be honest, like, you can see it in Ailanthus. Like, I just kind of like checked in a weird direction in like 2017, 2018.
Disco, you could ask me that same question. I'd be like, no.
I started my own kind of nostalgia cycle, I guess. You know what I mean? Where I started revisiting like the music that inspired me to this stuff too. So like my phone's full of like a lot. It's very eclectic, but like I'm revisiting stuff that what I've been on lately is like, okay, now I'm able to like buy records and buy tapes and like have these artifacts. And so I've been finding myself like getting like the most recent things that I got like I finally, after all these years, got Pet Sounds on vinyl.
Ooh.
I'll go through like trips on it where I'll like, it'll be very modern, and then it'll be like the 60s stuff, and then it'll be like the 70s stuff and the genres and stuff. But like, so like there was a little phase last year where I was like, I got all the Son of Ra and DuckTales and James Farrar records that I could afford, that I could get, because I couldn't afford them back then, even when they were like $9 back then. I remember I found an email the other day it wasn't Punks on Mars, it was Ryan Howe's solo album, Pimples in 3D, 2010, one of my favorite albums. And the way you got that is you PayPal'd him $5 with your address, and he sent you the tape.
Wow.
And like, I've been scooping that stuff up, and a lot of that stuff is like very expensive now. Like there's 20 copies of it made ever. If you want a copy, it's $400. I'm sorry. I'm not buying that $400. I have the MP3s. But then I'm finding myself getting like, hey, a reprint of this Bob Dylan record. Like I'm gonna pick it up. A reprint of this and that. Like I'm gonna pick it up. So I've been like really doing that. And so unfortunately, like, no, there's not a lot of new stuff in my rotation. I what's the word? It's not resent.
I resent new Vaporwave.
I don't resent that. I'm sad that I'm not as up on it as I used to be. So I can say now, like, yeah, dude, like the Ocular Collective put out such a great record this year. I don't have the time and lifestyle that I used
I
to
felt
sit.
kind of bummed this year when I was like, oh, what's sometimes I like to look back and be like, what's kind of album of the year Vaporwave scene, or doing this show,
Yeah.
people are like, what are some good recs? And I had kind of nothing. I realized that the only Vaporwave I listen to is just my friends, which is fine, and I have enough of them, but I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of it now is when one of my friends puts out a record, I see that it's out and I download that because I can trust. I used to do a lot more experimenting, exploring. I had a lot more time on my hands. I used to drive 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
Twice. I spent 4 hours a day in my car back when these records were coming out. I came home and sat by myself in front of the computer and played music. Like, I had all this time to, like, really discern what was going on, like, get a tap of the whole scene at the time. And nowadays, I'm lucky if I can spin one record
Yeah.
in a day.
Like,
Like,
I
it's
think
just-
about, I only listen to music at work, more or less. And I think about, like, if I were to stop working and, like, do something full time, I would lose listening to music. And that happened to me a few years ago when I stopped working a restaurant job, and I didn't have time to listen to podcasts anymore. And I was like, I don't miss working there, but I miss that. Like, having the time. A lot of the early Vaporwave stuff, I listened to albums at work that I was like, I just remember... I felt like that guy at the party where it's like, they don't even know I'm listening to Telepath and Catcore. Like, they...
Well, the meme is about us, all of us. Like,
100%.
they don't even know about business casual.
They don't know that if you
You know,
open my iPod Touch right now, it's all in Japanese.
Today. like that is so awesome. But like, okay, so it just made me think of this. I found on YouTube, because I spend a lot of time on YouTube watching like podcast type stuff. And that also takes my time. And sometimes I get frustrated because I'm like, there's records I need to be listening to. And I'm sitting and listening to some guy talk about comic books for 20 minutes. I could have listened to a record in this amount of time. But like,
Behind you?
what?
Are those comic books in those boxes behind you?
Are
Oh
those
my
all comic books?
Yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
god!
Yikes!
Not yikes!
Ailanthus Recordings slowed down its output.
That's rad. You're like John, but it's not a mess.
Yeah, no,
All white.
Yeah,
I mean,
look.
that looks like
Check out.
when I
Look
was
at you, check out what I'm collecting. Ah!
I'm collecting the colors.
Yeah.
But like, the other day, because I always look up all of our stuff. Like, I'll just type in an artist that we know, and I'll look him up. I found on YouTube a copy of something I didn't even know existed anymore. RC Roberto Clemente rookie card, Radio Mix 1. If you look up RC Radio Mix 1 on YouTube, it's a rip of a bonus CD that I added to the first 5 Ailanthus Recordings records that came out on CDR. I added in this just comp of songs that I put together. There's a playlist. It's a mixtape. And somebody uploaded it to YouTube.
Wow.
I listened. And I was like, this is exactly what I was listening to in the fall of 2011. It was like a time capsule. It blew my mind.
That would be wild.
I forgot I even made it. I guess I just didn't think we were doing good enough, so I wanted to create the pot and send a next record with them. But like,
Who's that guy? You should message him or leave that comment.
I commented on it and I was like, "Hey, I thought this was lost to time. I forgot I even made this. Like, thanks for uploading this. This is great, or whatever." But yeah,
That's cool.
I saw the signal down there, so I don't want to go over. I know I have a tendency to
That's
go
sick.
over.
No, the stop sign.
Yeah,
That wasn't a signal. I was thinking that, dude.
Oh my god. No, I didn't even read 30.
That's not even a signal.
I just had it,
I was like, I'm on Letterman, and they're like,
Stop.
Before you do that, you were saying that you were like starting to have some of these like records are really expensive now. I'm really glad I got into some of these records when I did because I got them at like end of 2017, early 2018. I picked up a ton of records. Like I look right here. I got a copy of Far Side Virtual for like $15.
Oh man.
You know, and
I
now
get that anymore.
um,
I want that so bad. You have no idea. I have Human Story. I bought it.
I have 2 copies of that. You want you want one?
I think we should talk about it. That's an essential.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I bought that on Discogs, but then a new record store in Pittsburgh that moved from Portland to Pittsburgh, they had a
Wow.
copy there, and it was $20, and it was a nicer copy, and it even had the insert, which was missing from the one I bought. So I was like, I think I'll buy this as well. Who cares? You know, it's an album I'm not going to see very often. It's not like it's getting repressed anytime soon. Rip.
Scott genuinely looks like his mind was just blown. He's like,
Yeah.
no way.
I've got a couple of
I
dudes.
was thinking about the option of me talking to somebody about getting a copy of that record. Like, I love that record. I don't know if the only James Farrell record I have is On Air.
I
It's
found
weird.
On Air. I found On Air in a local record store.
2014. My mom got me that for my Christmas present because I sent her a link. I'm like, hey, if you send $20 to this, this is what I want.
My connection to Farside Virtual is that anytime I have a pet in a video game, I name it Farside Virtual.
I'll go pet. Hey, that stop sign like triggered my bladder. I have to use the restroom.
Well, let's wrap. Do you think we should plug real quick, or
whenever you're driving, you ever just see a stop sign, you wear a diaper or something?
Do you want to just plug real quick? We'll get out of here and then you can go, or do you have?
I mean, I want to come back.
I'm just saying, just to end the episode, then you'll come back if you can hold for 10 seconds.
I can hold it for 10 seconds. I want to thank all 3 of you for having me on here. Anybody who is watching, I really do appreciate any record you ever listen to off my label. If you ever listen to my own music, I really appreciate that so much. But like Ailanthus Recordings, AILANTHUS. A lot of us say Ailanthus and then no one can find it. But like Ailanthus Recordings, dig on there. Everything's free. Download as much as you can. There are so many amazing artists, and the one thing I always encourage people is if there's an artist on there that you've never heard of and it stands out to you or draws your interest, download that record and listen to that record.
Nice. Do you have anything specific to plug? We'll just round our plugs, then do our wave for the thumbnail, and then
plug. No, I mean I think I'm gonna work on some like Lincoln put out these like. Before Vaporwave was named Vaporwave, Lincoln put out these records that were like, he would just upload like, here's the Beatles for sale, slowed down with echo. And it was the whole album. And I loved those records. I don't even know if you can still find them, but like those were great. And I'm going to do that with my ideas off the top of my head right now are Tomba 2, Die Hard Trilogy, and Moto.
There you go.
Wow.
And I did a performance in like 2013 that I had it on the flyer as Moto Racer 3D, where I had my partner play Moto Racer through this big TV.
Ooh.
And I ran the sound out through the pedal board I had at the time and fucked with the sound like while she was playing.
That's awesome.
And so, like, it's kind of a cool flashback to that, to play with those Motor Racer songs, because they're all, like weird 90s, like, drum and bass, but via PlayStation 1 games. Like, it's really interesting.
Well, dope. John, you got anything?
New album is just about finished. And it has not been announced yet a date, but it will be this spring. Also, BizCast, new this week. We what do we got this week? We got a new album from Hey Tenna. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hey Tenna, Years of Failure. This album is not a failure. It is a really good album. You should check it out. Also, last week we had SA20's Pitch, the sequel to his last album. And next week, what do we got? Next week we got. I'm on the wrong page. Fuck.
Crazy.
I
Releases
know, yeah.
every Friday.
It's awful, man.
Don't listen to it. It's all awful.
This next release isn't awful. It's Stranger from Soulcraft. Y'all know him. Y'all love him. That's next week. So check that out on businesscasual.biz.
Nice.
Music.businesscasual.biz.
I'm going to go before Disco just because your plugs are always so tight. You can check me out streaming, 3D_blast on Twitch. Working on new music. That's all. I think that's all I got right now. Oh, I'm releasing a remix with Dan in February, so check that out. It's not announced yet, but just look out for that. Awesome. Disco?
WDSK 97.9, the home of the funkiest in disco and news. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. Got some new choices for tomorrow, for example. Also. And.
Oh, we got the morning too.
All right. Well, that's it from us. Let's get a wave for the thumbnail. Like, let's. Hell yeah.
Goodbye.